For the first time ever on 60 Days In.
We're going in
as a united front.
Get off! We signed up for this.
Would you?
60 Days In. New episode tomorrow at 9. Part of The Pursuit, a crime and investigation event. Only on A&E.
When I found out I was going to be a parent, I immediately felt a lot of anxiety and worry. So I went on to BetterHelp to try to look for a therapist to help me with that.
My relationship with my family and with my boyfriend and with myself were suffering. I really needed help.
I was ruminating a lot. Really getting those thoughts out to a therapist and getting feedback was just life-changing.
If you're thinking of giving therapy a try, learn more at BetterHelp.com. That's BetterHelp.com.
For exclusive podcasts and more, sign up at patreon.com/partnersincrimemedia.
This week's Law & Order Marathon winner is Jennifer Green from Plainsboro, New Jersey. Jen will get a marathon decal showing she watched 26.2 hours of her favorite crime show. To be next week's winner, sign up at lawandorderpodcast.com.
I'm Kevin Flynn with Rebecca Lavoie and Katie Mitchell, and these are their stories.
You think you know who did it, but you don't know who did it. Law and order, law and order, law and order. It's no ordinary police procedural, baby. It's the FNOG of police procedurals, baby. Law and order, law and order, law and order, law and order. These are their stories, these are their stories.
Welcome to These Are Their Stories, the podcast about network TV's most enduring crime franchise and the real-life cases that inspired their shows. I'm Kevin Flynn. Each podcast will break down an episode from either Criminal Intent, SVU, or Original Recipe. And today we're looking at Criminal Intent, Season 4, Episode 14, Sex Club.
Bacchus and Venus, East 48th Street.
I know the place. Private sex club. We used to get complaints about it all the time. If that's where Merritt met Radcliffe...
Mattress full of naked swingers. Not the kind of platform people want from a candidate.
Joining me to do just that is true crime author and the host of Crime Writers On and Netflix's You Can't Make This Up podcast, which the initials spell out You Come To, Rebecca Lavoie. Hello, Rebecca.
The role of Rebecca Lavoie is being played today by Angie Harmon.
Yeah, you don't sound so good.
Abby Carmichael.
We're just never going to sound good together ever again.
It's okay. You know, it happens. It's winter. There are germs. Things happen. And we were in a tiny closet with me. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's super. I'll name the phlegm after you. And rounding out our panel is our old friend and special guest from the Date with Dateline podcast, Katie Mitchell. Hi, Katie.
Hi, guys. I'm sorry. Did you call me old? Did I hear? I'm sorry. Did I hear that right? You surely not. Surely not.
But we did use your last name. You got outed by the LA Times.
So exciting.
Oh boy, I did.
What a big year for you guys.
I'm blushing. I can't. Oh, yeah. No, that was a big question, whether or not to use the last names, and it was kind of a deal breaker for the interview, actually. And Kimberly and I were just staring at each other, just shaking our heads like, what do we do? What do we do? Do we insist on being first name only? Are we share? Can we do that? And we could not. We were not share level, so we had to reveal ourselves.
I think it would have been a little bit different of a proposition had the article not been so incredibly flattering about the work you guys do. They seem to love your podcast just as much as I do. As you know, I am an OG Date with Dateline fan.
Thank you. That was very sweet. Yeah, we were very surprised. We also didn't know if it was going to be flattering or not. We thought it was just an article with a bunch of different podcasters. So when we saw that it was just us, we were like, oh my. Oh, what do we do? Yeah. And then Kimberly's mother immediately framed like 5 copies of it. And I think they've been sent around to various locations through the city. Which is pretty funny.
Now, you're one of our few resident criminal intent experts.
Yes.
There are few of you, but you're absolutely dedicated.
They're mighty.
You guys have seen like one of those word cloud kind of things where they put a bunch of text in a computer and it generates like words of bigger sizes depending on how big they're used.
Yeah, it's called a word cloud.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I would imagine that the word cloud for every criminal intent script, the biggest word would be maybe.
Maybe.
That's interesting.
Or probably.
Probably.
Can you put Vincent D'Onofrio leaning over in a word cloud?
Yeah.
That would also
it's
be
so
in there.
good.
Yeah, there's a lot of leaning in this episode. A lot.
This one had some spectacular leans.
Yeah.
And this is coming from a Keith Morrison aficionado, so I know a lot about leaning. It was good.
Katie, would you please remind us, of all the franchises, which two cops are your favorite Law & Order detective team?
Favorite Law and Order detective team.
Oh, I'm going to say Goren and Eames are my favorite, especially D'Onofrio.
Do you have a number 2 criminal intent team? Because in latter seasons, they had a couple of good mix-ups there.
No.
Okay.
No, I do not.
That's an acceptable answer.
It's a firm answer.
Rebecca just spit up all over herself, so that was a good answer.
I love Eames. I got to say, I love Goren and Eames too, but I really love Eames.
What's not to love, really?
She's like his handler. Like, I was just watching Westminster last week, and watching her work with him is like watching one of those ladies in those Chico's suits prance around with one of those dogs, just trying to keep him in line,
Yeah. She is, and she's like half his size. She's like the pint size.
It's perfect.
Yeah, it's really good.
Katie, who is your favorite prosecutorial team?
Favorite Law and Order District Attorney prosecutorial team.
Oh, it's probably not criminal intent. I feel like that's wrong to say. I'm very sorry. I don't think it is.
Carver is, some people have said Carver, but...
Okay, they have? Well,
they have. Even if they haven't, go with it.
Okay, yeah, Carver is my favorite. I'll say that. But I'm sorry, I think I love original. I'm a huge Sam Waterston fan.
Yeah.
Like, I think that I love, like, something about that feels like home and right to me. So, I don't know.
Because he looks like Keith Morrison.
He's our law daddy.
Yeah, he's our law daddy. All right, now let's take a look at the first half of this episode, Criminal Intent, Season 4, Episode 14, Sex Club. Well, who's auctioning off all of his memorabilia? It's a washed-up, pajama-wearing pornographer named George Merritt. One of his centerfolds from the 70s bids on her old costume and beats out a telephone, bitter, angry with the outcome. Hours later, the woman is bludgeoned in her home.
Maid on the floor below reported her passkey missing. That's how the perp gained entry. Took the rings off Mrs. Parsons' fingers, but the big money jewelry's still in the safe.
Any other rooms burglarized?
None reported, but we're canvassing.
Oh, blast from the past. A honey suit. Any idea how this got here?
The Parsons were at our memorabilia auction this morning.
The items that they bought, any of them missing?
We're still getting an inventory.
Goren and Eames learned the woman also bid on Merritt's little black book, which is now missing. Fortunately, Merritt's secretary has photocopies of all of its contents. The angry telephone bidder was the campaign manager of a U.S. Senate candidate who's in the book. The notation next to Jim Ratcliffe's name indicates he met Merritt at a couples-only sex club. But who did he go with? His ex-wife Kay denies going, but because she blushed, Goren says, oh, she totally did. Digging through the candidate's divorce papers, they learn Ratcliffe did indeed take Kate to the club, but she was not GGG. Confronted with the photocopies, the candidate reveals he's being blackmailed by the person who currently has the black book. Probably the person who, here we go, probably the person that killed the centerfold. Goren and Eames track down another bidder, but when they arrive at his office, they find him shot to death and the black book missing. Okay, so on SVU, in their sex club episode, Benson and Stabler go undercover as swingers and flirt with Rose McGowan, who's having an affair with her own twin brother.
Yes.
In the Criminal Intent sex club episode, Goren and Eames go to family court.
Yes, and we never even see the sex club.
We don't.
Bacchus and Venus, the stupidest name for a sex club I have ever heard.
Kate, did you not think at some point they would try to go undercover?
Yeah, I did, actually. Well, I thought that maybe Bacchus and Venus had changed its name. Like, that it had morphed into something else, and so now it was more private. It wasn't like out on the street. You had to have a password, and it was a thing that was in a basement. I thought maybe that would happen. Also, I have just decided that maybe this could be shortened to a sex episode. Have you guys ever done that before? I'm not sure. Am I the first? Okay.
No.
You can have it. All right, I wrote it down.
Yeah, we're going to use it. The sex episode.
Great.
It's like a new brand. It's like a new sub-brand for our podcast, Kevin.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to trademark that.
Yeah, let's do it.
New category. Okay.
So, I mean, it's clear they're riffing on Hugh Hefner here in Playboy. Yeah.
Oh, here she is. January, 72. Lila was a lovely girl. She was a stinger honey. Jet, you know? Well, maybe someone wishes that they weren't in your little black book. Only fun people got in my book, baby. And fun people don't have regrets.
Katie, did you catch the name of the magazine?
No, I didn't. What was it?
Men's Privilege.
Men's Privilege.
The most on-the-nose name for anything that has ever been made in the history of the world. I wanted to go back in time and give these writers in the writer's room a high freaking five for Men's Privilege. I like to read the articles in Men's Privilege.
You certainly thought you're right. The douchebag in the neck scarf was going to get it. But
yeah.
It wasn't him.
And it's awkwardly tied. I gotta say, every time his ascot is kind of incorrect. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah.
It's like off to the side. So it's like maybe an ascot, maybe it's a scarf. We don't know.
He was a discount Hugh Hefner after all. I mean, yeah.
He's in a corduroy coat at some point. At what time is Hugh Hefner wearing a corduroy sport jacket? Get out of here. Sorry, I'm very focused on fashion. I was like, no.
But I gotta say, isn't all media man's privilege?
Men's privilege.
Men's privilege.
Everything, Kevin, is men's privilege. All of it. All of it. The magazine is just a reflection of our society. And I hear the articles are pretty good.
You should say that as a couple that wrote for Playboy.
We did.
And that was a great trip to go to the Playboy offices in New York.
It was not sexy. There was nothing sexy, but it's just an office.
Except for the art on the wall.
That's true.
I'm just going to diverge for 1 second here and say this. They had, as they're telling us about, you might want to try to write this way, kind of like Norman Mailer did for us. Take a couple of magazines. In the corner, there was a pile of Playboy magazines, waist high. And I thought, if you told me at 17 I would be here and could grab all of these fucking magazines, I would have, my prostate would have exploded.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, and you never thought it would happen in like an unsexy office.
Right.
You would think that in your fantasy that's happening like in the grotto of the Playboy mansion, that they're like, take any magazine you want and here are all these ladies. Yeah.
Our editor at Playboy, I still love him. We're still friends to this day. Was like a 70-year-old man wearing a blazer with corduroy patches on the elbows. I'm not even joking a little bit.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, that's really good. Oh, good.
I don't even think he knew what pictures were in that magazine. I think he thought he was writing for the New Yorker the whole time.
Oh, no, he was confused. That's sad.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at the cast.
Yes.
It's our very special guest star,
Ms. Rosanna Arquette.
Yes.
She's playing ex-wife Kay Connolly, Emmy and Golden Globe nominee.
I told him if he'd let the genie out of the bottle, then he would destroy our marriage, and that's what he did.
First of her 2 Law & Order appearances. Rebecca, sing the song.
What's that?
Rosanna.
Oh, I can't.
You can't,
I have
but you
no
know
voice.
The song really was named after her.
It was?
It was.
What? Rosanna.
Exactly.
Rosanna.
Thank you, Katie, for backing me up.
You're welcome.
She was dating the guitar player or bass player or something from Toto. And
really?
No, she wasn't.
She
was?
That's
funny.
Yeah, she's got a really interesting life. She lived with Peter Gabriel in England. Don't you know somebody, Rebecca?
I do, who visited Peter Gabriel's house in Bath. Yes.
Yeah. Who was it?
My father randomly became friends with Peter Gabriel when he was living in England for a time and like went to his house in Bath and was like telling me about all the weird statuary and stuff that Peter Gabriel had.
Did he? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And as expected, he had like didgeridoos and stuff like everywhere.
Katie, you are learning so much weird stuff about Kevin and Rebecca.
I know. We're going to need to have an offline conversation about that. I'm very curious about this. I want to know a lot about Peter Gabriel. I'm curious.
So Rosanna Arquette, brother of David Arquette and all the other Arquettes, all the
Sister
big Arquette.
Patricia Arquette.
Patricia Arquette.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. On their IMDb page, see, they might have like a factoid about like the role they almost got.
Yeah.
They were considered for. They went overboard on Rosanna Arquette's IMDb page. Are you ready?
Yes.
This is what you can find out. She was considered for The Terminator, Highlander, Bridget Jones's Diary, The Blue Lagoon, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Splash, Basic Instinct, Speed, Fatal Attraction, Scarface, both Thelma and Louise, Titanic, Shakespeare in Love, Taxi Driver, Footloose, Pretty Woman, Pretty's Honor, and Vicky Vale in Batman.
I feel bad now.
Don't you?
That's heartbreaking.
Sad.
That's really upsetting.
Yes. Why didn't she get those parts?
I don't know.
Well, she wasn't Desperately Seeking Susan.
There you go.
She was pretty good in that.
She was Golden Globe nominee.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to call it a second act, but she's earned a lot of respect lately telling her story of how Harvey Weinstein blacklisted her.
Yes.
And she's really being seen now as, just like Rose McGowan, who we mentioned, as being a powerful woman owning their truth and really kind of exposing this professional and personal hardship that they went through.
Yeah, he busted his way into her apartment, right?
And she said this isn't going to happen.
Right. Listen to the Catch and Kill podcast to get all the details. She's on it. She's amazing.
Can I tell you what her personal quote is?
Yes.
Never eat a Mars bar offered to you by Marianne Faithfull.
What is your life? What is your life? That's your... Oh, wow. Oh, my gosh. I don't know what that means, and it's great.
I don't either.
Oh, wow.
Tell
me more.
Never eat a Snickers in the shower. Who knows? We have a Hey, It's That Guy.
Hey, it's that guy.
Who's playing Dime Store Hugh Hefner?
I was at Bacchus and Minas a couple of times a week. They loved me there. A guy would have to bring a girl to get in. I'd bring 6. Come on, honeys. Come on.
Rebecca, you go.
It's famous director Peter Bogdanovich, is it not?
It is.
Yes.
He's known for The Last Picture Show, What's Up, Doc, Paper Moon.
Former partner of Sybil Shepherd.
Yes. By the way, he also directed my favorite, To Sir with Love, Part 2.
Oh, my goodness. I was like, wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah, his wife was, he left his wife for Sybil Shepherd. He was in a brief relationship with playmate Dorothy Stratton before her murder. By the way, I think anyone who wears a neck scarf, and he really does, that is actually his real look.
Peter Bogdanovich wears a neck scarf in real life?
Yeah, and anyone who does ought to get it caught in an elevator door.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and probably has, right? Or in a paper shredder? I mean, it's a lot.
Anyone who's playing Jim Radcliffe, the politician?
We went there once as a married couple out of curiosity. We were both disturbed by what we saw and we left.
No.
He looks familiar.
That's Matt Servito. Rebecca, you'll remember him as FBI agent Dwight Harris on The Sopranos.
Which I didn't watch.
I know you keep saying that, yes.
And you keep forgetting.
No, I remember. He's had 8 Law & Order appearances. How about our campaign director, Tim Holtzman?
I don't need this book turned up on some website. I just hope whoever got it will be discreet.
Who's that guy?
I don't know his name, but I know he was in True Detective Season 3.
Right, his name is Mike Watford. 10 Law & Order appearances. And he did have a supporting role as a task force detective in True Detective.
I have not seen True Detective Season 3. Only 1 and 2.
Oh, well, you need to see it.
I do.
Or you should catch him as a guitar-playing zombie in Trailer Park of Terror.
Oh.
Okay. I'm writing that down, too. That sounds excellent and right up my alley.
Now, Rebecca, I know you are dying to tell us about her Hey, It's That Girl.
Hey, it's that girl.
Who is playing Lila, the centerfold?
That is soap opera queen Katherine Hicklin, who was on One Life to Live for years, playing Lindsay Rappaport, a villainous, trampy, iconic, white lipstick wearing, bleached blonde soap opera babe.
I owe Georgie Merritt so much, and if buying some of the wonderful things he's putting up for sale helps him just a teeny bit.
Wow.
I always know the soap ones. It's very embarrassing.
No, that's great.
Oh, so Rebecca knows her as Lindsay Rappaport. Katie, you and I know her as Mrs. David Hasselhoff.
For real?
For a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Today she is Mrs. Todd Fisher, sister-in-law to the late Carrie Fisher.
Oh.
Debbie Reynolds was her stepmom and all that. During the last 2 years...
Step up.
Stepmom?
That's a step up.
No, did I say step up?
No, I'm saying it's a step up to go from being married to David Hasselhoff to being in like the Fisher family. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
She married up.
During her last 2 years on One Life to Live, she studied hypnosis. So now she is a licensed hypnotherapist who does over 20 comedy shows a year.
Huh.
Oh, no, wait. I'm sorry. She does comedy shows?
Comedy hypnosis shows.
Nice.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that for her. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I don't really see her doing that.
In Vegas?
I know. I think at the VFW, in Ypsilanti.
Got it.
No, I bet she does them in real clubs. You know what was weird about that scene where she bought the gold honey, hilariously named honey suit, and held it up in front of herself in the mirror? It was like too big for her. It looked huge.
What was that thing? That thing looked like paper mache, number one. That was not... I've worked in wardrobe for many years, and I was very distracted by it. Like, what is that? Why does it look like that? And why is it so large for her body?
Yeah.
I was worried about her. Maybe she lost a lot of weight. I don't know. Something
Did
happened.
she shrink?
She got shorter, apparently, because the torso looked like it was 8 feet long.
Correct.
Apparently, Rosanna Arquette was supposed to play that role, too, and she didn't get it. So at the last minute, she came in and took over. Okay, so Goren and Eames are able to get the, as up until yesterday, sealed divorce records of the Radcliffes. And Kay's dropping a lot of details about their sex club visit.
Jim said he had a romantic evening planned. He took me to a club, Bacchus and Venus. I was shocked. The room was full of people having sex. I wanted to leave, but Jim told me to humor him. Men were looking at me. I felt dirty. Jim told me to perform oral sex on him while they watched. I refused and left.
And then 3 months later?
He insisted we do what he wanted, but this time, once we were inside the sex club, I became physically ill. I cried. Jim got angry. He said I was spoiling everything, that it wasn't sexy for me to cry.
And I will say, you know, what Radcliffe said is true. It's not sexy when you cry at a swingers club.
Yeah.
That's not very sex positive of him.
No.
It kills the mood.
Yeah, I don't know about blackmailers, but she surely killed a lot of erections that night.
Boner shrinker, right?
Yeah. I know how to hear this. Really? That's why you really have to work that out before you go in.
Yeah, you really do. You need to put your game face on.
Yeah, well, you also need to do some research. If your husband's taking you to a club called Bacchus and Venus, you need to look it up. You need to be like, okay,
am I wearing the right shoes?
I'm not doing this.
What does Zagat say about that one?
You do Stefan from Saturday Night Live. This club has everything. Whips, chains,
crying
women who don't want to do it in front of other people.
Oh, Stefan, he's so good.
Well, you know, wouldn't it be criminal intent if Goren didn't try to smell something?
Oh, God.
Decomp.
But he doesn't put his nose up to anything. He just kind of wafts his arms in the air like he's running through a tulip field.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's like a dog. He's like basically like a corpse sniffing dog in this episode, right?
Yeah, and he's super sensitive. We just had my first Dateline corpse sniffing dog, and he sat at the smell of like decomposing flesh. He would sit, and I'd never seen that before. Goren doesn't sit. Goren does it in a very poetic way.
No, he just kind of spins around looking for where that dead body is.
Yes, very gracefully.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Tortious interference. Lawyer? Worse. A Texas lawyer.
Is it true that the only thing worse than a lawyer is a Texas lawyer? I loved that line. I loved it. Tortious interference. Must be a lawyer. And then just like, and it was like, it was the worst. Apparently, that is the worst thing you can be. This is an episode in which they know somebody killed somebody, and yet they're saying a Texas lawyer is the worst thing you can be.
Katie, I'm not going to say that Goren ever makes jumps of supposition, but he looked at the email address it went to, and it was Texas Hold'em. So he said, "Oh,
okay,
that guy Texas Holtzman, that's got to be him."
He's a great detective. He's excellent. He does really good work.
So we learned that like what Lila actually bid on that was really important was not her costume, but it was the black book that we didn't know existed or whatever. And we figured out that there was a black book because I guess her teenage son popped a boner. I don't know.
I just wanted to hear what the girls sounded like. Like, if they're in this guy's book, they have to be hot.
Okay, yeah. I was confused by Kenny's role. So we see Kenny in the distance, sort of frantically doing something in the bedroom with the phone, and you're like, what's happening? So you get a little foreshadowing, and then turns out Kenny is calling the numbers in the little black book But when you actually see the little black book, most of the numbers seem to be men. It seems to be men that he met out and about. And he's like, I'm calling the honeys, I'm calling these women because they've got to be hot or whatever his excuse is. He's a tremendous young talent, that Kenny. But I was confused. It didn't seem to, it was a weird bridge.
Do you know how they tried to show that it was like an old black book? Is the phone numbers were all like Klondike 5.
Yeah.
2741.
Yes.
Yes.
It's like your favorite convention when you call me at work, right?
Is this capital 2, 2471?
That's wonderful. That's glorious. I could not love that more. That just sounds like straight out of Hepburn and Tracy. I really like it. It's really
Should we try to figure out what yours is? What's your first 3 numbers?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, 310.
310.
Is that what you're talking about, the area code?
No, your area code,
exchange.
your exchange.
It comes from the first 2 numbers of the exchange.
Like whatever those letters are.
So it's like
Klondike 5 is 555.
Right, which is a fake TV number,
Yeah.
which is hilarious that they would even put that in the thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's the first 2 numbers of your exchange, and
then the
then
next
5
letter.
numbers
Yeah.
is how they used to do phone numbers.
I mean, what's the first 2 numbers of your home phone number?
69. I'm sorry. It's appropriate for this sex episode.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
A&E's crime and investigation event, The Pursuit, returns with a new, unprecedented season of 60 Days In.
This time, we're going in
As a united front. Together as one team.
with one unified mission.
We are determined to expose.
What's really going on? Get off! We signed up for this.
Would you?
60 Days In. New episode tomorrow at 9. Part of The Pursuit, a crime and investigation event, only on A&E.
For 25 years, Mike's has been making lemonade the hard way. Mike's Hard Lemonade. Hard days deserve a hard lemonade. Mike's is hard, so is prison. Don't drive drunk. Premium malt beverage with flavors. All registered trademarks used under license by Mike's Hard Lemonade Company, Chicago, Illinois.
Life doesn't have a pause button. That's why Capella University's FlexPath learning format lets you set your own deadlines and adjust them if something comes up. Imagine how a flexible education can make a difference for you at capella.edu.
Now let's take a look at the second half of this episode. The blackmailer was Rob McKenna, a former bouncer at the sex club, and the killer of centerfold Lila Parsons. McKenna, as Goren likes to say, probably recognized the politician and thought the black book would be suitable for extortion.
Who would blackmail Jim? Did he tell you this?
He got an extortion demand about his activities at the sex club.
Wow, that doesn't make any sense. I told you that was all lies.
We read your deposition. We know what your husband put you through, taking you to that club.
My husband said I was too uptight, too conventional.
In one of the most improbable clues ever uncovered, Goren and Eames learned that Kay and Rob had display booths right across from each other at the women's accessory trade show.
You mean the women's accessories trade show?
Yeah. So, she remembered Rob from back in the day, but she failed to identify his lead singer from Sugar Ray Frosted Tips he sported back then. Doing some cross-checking, they linked the black book's phone number for Radcliffe to a woman named Monique, who is the club doorknob because everybody got a turn.
Oh.
Kay's nanny remembers her staying out all night and the daughter being really mad about it. So Goren's theory. Kay didn't want her ex-husband to learn the secrets of the black book, thus preserving her daughter's love. So they tease Radcliffe with the threat of arrest based on their photocopy of the black book, which they refuse to turn over. His lawyer says, "Hey, I've listened to enough podcasts to know you have to disclose that evidence to me."
Brady violation.
Carver lets him take him to court and just tanks the hearing, all for the benefit of Kay, who now knows that Radcliffe will get a copy. Goren and Carver tell Kay if someone else confessed to McKenna's murder, Radcliffe would never be charged and never see the evidence. Hell, they'll even destroy the evidence just to sweeten the deal.
Oh, my God.
She says, you're exactly right. Kay confesses, Radcliffe drops out of the race, and Carver puts the photocopy in the shredder. Okay, so McKenna killed to get the black book because he thought it would prove Radcliffe went to a sex club, but nobody knows what's in the black book, so how could he?
I don't understand anything about this episode. I mean, I don't understand why they're trying to preserve the childlike feelings of this 28-year-old daughter they have. I don't understand why she has a whole shop where she's selling handbags and they look like they were made by children out of felt. I don't understand anything about this episode, and I especially don't understand, we'll get to it, the whole shredding of the evidence immediately before there have been any appeals or any, I don't understand any of it. It makes no sense. It's bananas.
It doesn't need to make sense. I think it's about the journey of Goren.
That's it.
I'm just excited. That's what's going on here.
That's how he earns his Burger King, by going out. And, But Eames has finally figured out Merritt's black book notation code with Monique.
Choo-choo? As in the little engine that pulled the train?
That is super dirty.
Yeah.
It really is.
So Monique invented the phrase run train.
It was a lot. I was surprised. It was that much. And I'm wondering how, in the writer's room, how many times do you think they went over what the phrase would be? And what do you think was on the table? That's what I'm curious about. That they landed on choo-choo. I don't know. It's a lot.
They called her Amtrak.
I'm kind of thinking that whoever was working in standards and practices that day just didn't understand. They didn't get it. So they're like, yeah, that's fine. And the writers were like, really? Let's just do it. They said it was fine.
I think you're exactly right. I think you nailed it. Yep.
So Gordon sees the daughter tug at her shirt sleeve and says, yep, she's a cutter with detachment disorder.
Definitely.
Just like that.
Immediately.
At the store, I noticed that you pulled down your sleeves. You're hiding scars.
Not a junkie. You were a cutter? Who were you mad at? Your mom?
Mom and I are tight now. We're best friends.
Don't bother going to therapy. I already cured you. I figured it out.
That's right.
Just by seeing you.
I did not think that, by the way. Did anyone else get that immediately, that she was a cutter besides Goren? Did either of you?
I did.
I did.
Only because it was very ham-fisted and lingering, the way the camera sort of stayed as she slowly tugged down each of her very long sleeves.
I wondered if it was another TV show.
Yeah.
But because she did it in front of Goren, you totally know something that meant something.
It had to have meant something.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was, I thought that she was a needle user. I thought she was an addict.
Yeah.
That's what I did not think it was the other. I was like, oh, she's an addict? Wait, what's happening? Where's this going to go? And then, no, I was dead wrong.
But she's so upset.
Yeah.
She's so upset with Mom.
Well, she has almost the same name as the girl from The Exorcist. You'd be upset too.
That's
Regan?
Yeah, she really does. And also, she's almost as old as Rosanna Arquette, so that's confusing. I was like, what happened to you? You have that disease. I didn't know. She was not young. Is it normal for the judge to get that angry?
Since I have no intention of asking Mr. Radcliffe any questions about that document, I see no basis to turn it over to him.
That is the lamest argument I've heard in a month. If it's evidence, he has a right to examine it. I'm granting his motion.
Did you guys see? That's the lamest excuse I've ever heard.
She wasn't wrong.
Well, I think the way why it was written like that is so that the audience understood that Carver wasn't trying, that this is all a ruse. It's just a show. It's the only way I can get the defense to get the stuff is to lose in court.
Yeah.
Is to use the court system. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that she could come in and say, what? What was that all about?
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't think that is legal or cool, but whatever.
No.
This whole episode makes no sense.
So they have the obligatory Goren explication, and so he spins up Kay, right, by telling her, if you confess to killing McKenna.
But isn't it true that if she confessed, then your behavior at that club 14 years ago, it would not have to be exposed?
If she confessed and agreed to a plea bargain, she would not have to reveal the motives of her acts.
In this address book, the only existing copy of it?
If she waived the right to appeal, the copy would be destroyed.
And then the past would be in the past, you see? And nobody could use it against you or to hurt Regan.
Nobody has to know why. Not his mom, not the newspaper.
Yep.
Nobody has to know why you killed this guy.
So here's the thing. This whole motive that Kay has here, allegedly, is to not mess up the relationship she has spent years rebuilding with her daughter.
Right.
I know of one outstanding way to mess up that relationship. Going to prison will definitely mess up that relationship. What is she doing? And why is her lawyer not intervening every 2 seconds being like, we're leaving. Like she starts and then she just stops and like lets her client confess when she says her motivation is to preserve her relationship with her daughter and she's going to be going to prison, which will 100% wreck that relationship.
Oh, yeah. The lawyer's just stunned by Goren. She just can't stop watching. So she's mesmerized. I think that's what happened. We just didn't get to see her face, but I think that's what we would have seen if we'd seen a reaction shot.
It's like, you figured this all out on your own?
Yeah. Who are you? Are you Batman? Yeah. That's what I think we would have seen.
So, can you just imagine, like, the victim's mother weeping on Carver's shoulder? Oh, why did she do this? And he says, meh, who's to say?
Can't tell you.
Who knows?
You know, I would have told you, except I shredded the evidence.
Right. What in the world?
Who wants to do the honors?
It's all yours, Counselor.
Harmless fun.
What? I was so confused. And I was also like, that's not the only copy. You didn't shred the black book. We find out earlier that there is the secretary or whoever, the bookkeeper, the CPA of the men's privilege dynasty has the black book already copied. So it's not the only copy out there.
That could be a photocopy of a photocopy.
There's also the actual book out there somewhere, which like we never see. Where's that?
We're led to believe that Rob killed the centerfold for it, and then Kay killed him for it, and Kay disposed of it.
Oh, so she burned it.
We are led to believe that? Why
She
couldn't
burned
you
it,
just
got rid of
tell
it.
us? They didn't tell us that.
Yeah, they
She put it in
don't.
one of those stupid handbags and sold it.
Well, although if she never saw it, then, well, I mean, we already know that she stole it.
Okay.
And she obviously is motivated by getting rid of it.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Supposition.
Supposition.
Maybe.
Perhaps. Probably.
Probably. How is Kay affording her rent? You're exactly right about the handbags. I don't get it. How do you have a whole shop sustained from fold-over clutches?
I assume she's getting alimony, right?
Sure.
Probably. Yeah.
However, because I know you will care about this, Katie, can we please just for a second talk about her extremely green living room? The trim, the walls, all green, everywhere. How can anyone live that way? It was like living inside of a pool table.
Or a weather screen.
I just had a
high pressure system coming in from the north.
Maybe they wanted her living room to be green because they knew it would make her discount Saoirse Ronan nanny feel more comfortable when she babysat at her house.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about illegal immigrants.
Do we?
Nothing about the Irish.
Yeah.
Do we?
Miss Connolly had a very active social life.
And you were stuck babysitting till her mother rolled home?
Once she was gone for 3 days. She came back looking like she smelled of drink and sex. She was a lonely, unhappy woman.
She came back smelling like sex and cigarettes. She smelled like a pub in Galway on a Thursday.
She was gone for 3 days.
3 days.
Poor little wee thing, just left by her mum. Yeah, oh, God.
She fucked everybody.
I didn't have anything else to do for those 3 days, so I just hung out, eating some Lucky Charms.
Such in the apartment.
I painted it green.
Oh, that's where it came from.
Like my whole bed.
She had the reddest hair.
She did.
She did have the reddest
That actress
hair.
could have been from Georgia. They said you're going to say it this way.
You are. Yeah.
Because no American citizen was going to watch that kid for
No.
her. Got to be an illegal Irishman.
Oh, always. Always.
Just so many running around.
I don't know why. I took out my acoustic guitar all the time. Played her Black Velvet Band. She went crazy. She started cutting herself. She said, if you're going to sing Rising of the Moon one more fucking time, I'm going to stroke out.
You've been saving this, haven't you?
No, I'm just coming up with it now.
Oh, this is good.
I had to go to church 7 times that day.
Exactly.
The rosary, I rubbed it right down to nothing. Nothing but a hub of plastic and a string.
Forget the rest of the episode. Let's just make it all this.
Yeah.
You're doing your bad impression of a fake Irish nanny from Criminal Intent.
I can't hear it because one of the ears in my headphone is busted. I don't know what I sound like.
You sound like you are doing an impression of a fake Irish nanny from Criminal Intent. It's really good. It's very dignified.
It's really good. It's exactly what you're doing.
I would have smacked the wee one on her ass. Her arse. Don't make that puss. I'll give you what for.
Oh.
For 25 years, Mike's has been making lemonade the hard way. Mike's Hard Lemonade. Hard days deserve a hard lemonade. Mike's is hard, so is prison. Don't drive drunk. Premium all beverage with flavors. All registered trademarks used under license by Mike's Hard Lemonade Company, Chicago, Illinois.
Not everything in life is flexible, but at Capella University, your education can be. With our game-changing FlexPath learning format, you're empowered to fit education into your life without putting other priorities on hold. FlexPath lets you set your own deadlines and adjust them when needed. You can take courses at your own speed and move on to the next one when you're ready. Imagine how a flexible education can make a difference in your life at capella.edu.
Well, let's take a look at the real-life story that inspired this episode. It's time for Ripped from the Headlines.
You think you know who did it. You think you know who did it. But you don't know who did it. You don't know who did it. Ripped from the Headlines.
Inspiration for this episode comes from the sex scandals surrounding actress Jeri Ryan, best known as the Borg 7 of 9 on Star Trek Voyager. Jeri and her husband Jack Ryan commuted between Los Angeles and Chicago, where he was an investment banker with political ambitions. The travel was difficult on the couple's relationship, and after an 8-year marriage, they filed for divorce in 1999. When Jack Ryan ran for US Senate in 2003, the media sought to open up the couple's sealed divorce files. In them were revelations that he forced his ex-wife to accompany him to sex clubs in New York. Jeri Ryan said she left the club in disgust, and Jack said it was out of his system. But he allegedly coerced her into going to sex clubs in New Orleans and in Paris. She said he tried to get her to have sex in front of other people and claimed this led to the end of the marriage. When the court files were opened, the politician denied the details, but Jeri Ryan didn't refute her statements. Although he had already clinched the Republican nomination, Jack Ryan dropped out of the race days later.
So, of course, now we get to see Jeri Ryan on Picard.
Yes.
CBS All Access.
Yes.
Reprising her role as 7 of 9.
Or 6 of 9, as fans call her.
6 of 9?
Yes, because she's so sexy.
6 of 9?
Yes.
I don't get it, but all right.
It's like Katie's exchange. Come on. It's a joke a 12-year-old boy would make.
Wait, did you say sex of 9 with an E?
6 of 9. Oh, never mind.
I can't hear with this busted headphone.
No, 6 of 9.
It's like, you know.
It's a...
Oh, 6
Kenny
of 9.
liked that,
I
though.
get it.
Jesus Christ.
Rebecca had to take her fingers
and demonstrate.
And made like 2 OK signs and turned one of them upside down. And like 6 of... Oh.
Now you get it.
I get it.
She's so sexy. She's just a banging bod.
Yes, but apparently she's not into the sex club. True detail.
Good for her.
Ryan told Jeri that crying in the swingers club was not a turn on.
Really? That's a real life detail.
That's a real life detail.
Listen, I don't want to come across as somebody who would judge anybody who was into this, because if you're into it, good for you. It is not cool to make somebody do something that they're not into. So that's why I say good for her for not backing down and being like, yes, that is what happened. I'm sure she was under a tremendous amount of pressure to lie after this file was unsealed. I'm sure she was under a tremendous amount of pressure, and she didn't, and good for her.
Katie, this is before the internet, and I want to know, how does one even find a dungeon sex club in a foreign country? And I'm asking for a friend.
in the pre-internet times. Okay, so I think... So it's got to be word of mouth, right? And there's certain streets, I think, that probably. And so I think you hear
Does
about
he speak
this
French?
street.
I mean, how would he... Yeah. This street.
Okay, first of all, I'm sorry. Who is Jack Ryan? Am I supposed to know who that is? Because the only Jack Ryan I know is like Air Force One, like the Harrison Ford. Like, isn't he Jack Ryan? So who's the real life Jack Ryan?
It's a different Jack Ryan, though.
Okay.
Yeah, no, he was a politician. He was a rich guy who ran for office. He ran for Senate, right?
He did.
Did he? Okay, I've never heard of him before.
Well, he didn't win, so that's one of the reasons why he sort of vanished into the background.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Ryan described that club as bizarre, with cages and whips and toys hanging from the ceiling. So do you think the owners were like trying to come up with an aesthetic and they went to Applebee's and they said, as I look around, we could have handcuffs, but it's got to be from the local police department. And
they flare.
Flare.
Yeah.
Cheerleader's costume from the local high school.
Yes.
Oh, Lord.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. In the French one, they had a French maid's outfit.
Yeah, there you go.
know?
Something kind of Moulin Rouge-y. Yeah, all right. Like a can.
And we should have unlimited breadsticks and soup.
Yes. Never order the food at a sex club.
Only on Thursdays. That's the only, that's the food day. It's a different kind of clientele. It's great.
Jerry Ryan played a cybersecurity expert in season 10 of Criminal Intent.
She did.
She came on. You think she walked in the writer's room and said, "Listen up, motherfuckers. Who was here in season 4? Oh, yeah, Poindexter? Come here. Look me in the face." Fucking think it was funny? Yeah, no crying in the sex club. Yeah.
What exactly is a choo-choo? Who let that slide?
Who's that choo-choo?
That's exactly what happened. Mm-hmm.
Jack Ryan dropped out of that race. Any idea who won?
What municipality was this?
This was U.S. Senate from Illinois. Anybody?
Illinois. Would that be Barack Obama?
That would be one Barack Obama.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Skated his way to the U.S. Senate from Illinois.
Oh, my goodness.
So thank you, Jerry Ryan. Thanks, Jerry Ryan.
Beat out someone named Jack Ryan. That's impressive. Sorry, Jack Ryan is a power name.
That's right. Thanks to Jerry Ryan, we all get birth control as part of our health plans.
Thanks, Jerry. I have a pre-existing condition. Hey, that's going to do it for us. We want to thank our special guest, Katie Mitchell. Katie, where can our listeners follow you online?
Oh, you can follow us at Dateline on Instagram and Twitter and probably Facebook, although it's not checked often, as Kimberly insists that I say. But we are there, and we are a date with Dateline, and soon to be a datewithdateline.com. Oh, very exciting. It's coming.
Nice.
Interactive website.
And Rebecca Lavoie, how can our listeners follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Angie Harmon. Just kidding. It's at Reb Lavoie.
And you can tweet to us at Law & Order Pod or follow us on Instagram at These Are Their Stories Podcast. Our newsreader was Cy Frater. Our theme music was composed and performed by Uncanny Valleys. Line editing by Henry Lavoie. Content assistance from Travis Roy. Lily Flynn handles promotions. To get ad-free episodes of These Are Their Stories a week early, sign up for Stitcher Premium. Get your first month free at stitcherpremium.com/crime. All clips in this podcast were used in compliance with the U.S. Copyrights Act Fair Use Exemption. For criticism and commentary, special thanks to the elite squad of the Law & Order Wiki community for preserving the evidence. If you want to know what episodes we're talking about in our upcoming shows, go to lawandorderpodcast.com. Sign up for our newsletter for a chance to be our next Law & Order Marathon winner. These Are Their Stories was recorded in the Yoga Loft above the Bodega in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi studio and is a production of Partners in Crime Media.
Partners in Crime Media. At Mayo Clinic in Florida, we are predicting the unpredictable. Our experts are using a patient's own anatomy to create 3D printed, life-size organ models to map out challenges ahead of time, making complex surgeries more precise, efficient, and less invasive. We are making more possible at Mayo Clinic because every day we're doing what's never been done. Learn more at mayoclinic.org/possible. Mayo Clinic, you know where to go.
Not everything in life is flexible, but at Capella University, your education can be. With our game-changing FlexPath learning format, you're empowered to fit education into your life without putting other priorities on hold. FlexPath lets you set your own deadlines and adjust them when needed. You can take courses at your own speed and move on to the next one when you're ready. Imagine how a flexible education can make a difference in your life at capella.edu.